Hey, Steve. With Damian starting tonight, what's your plan with preseason? Would you like to give him a few games to look at that, or will you kind of rotate on
really pressing your luck now? I can go out of my way to give you guys a starting lineup 3 days in advance, and now you're asking for Seattle next week. We're worried about tonight. That's all. So we're going to start him tonight. We'll see where it goes. But no, I mean, you know, the preseason, especially the first few games, the starters are going to play their 20 minutes or so. It's about rhythm for them, and for the young players, it's about trying to get, try to make strides and try to make an impression and state their case for a bigger role. And that's beyond that, I don't know what's going to happen.
Obviously, with a veteran group, you know, the preseason doesn't always mean a lot. But to your, you know, what you just said at the end there, is it going to be kind of maybe invigorating? I don't know if that's the right word. Is for you as a coach that you have several guys that you either need to figure out minutes for, or kind of see what they need to do, whether it's the centers or Jacob or these different guys. It kind of, you know, maybe there'll be more to glean from this for you than there has been maybe the last couple of years. Yeah,
I think so. You know, the last couple of years we've had 6 centers on our roster. Many of them vets who we kind of already knew what they could do. So it was more about rhythm and putting pieces together. Zaza, David West, JaVale, like where everybody would fit. And that took some time. But now it's more about the youth of our 3 young bigs, and then the additions of Jonas, who will play some 4 tonight, and of course DeMarcus when he gets back. So it's a little different vibe, but it's a fun challenge.
Steve, you've obviously seen this Minnesota team a lot in the last year, especially in preseason in China. From where they were then to where they are now, how do you prepare for them, given all the circumstances that are going on with Jimmy and what could be on that roster?
Honestly, we don't. I mean, it's the first game of the preseason. We don't prepare for them. This is totally different from a regular season game. We'll probably use the last game or 2 of the preseason to go through our regular season routine, where we would, you know, have a shoot around and do a game plan and show pregame video of the other team and go through matchups. We're not doing any of that tonight. This is just about us and executing and getting our rhythm down, and I'm not worried about anything else.
You mentioned Jonas kind of playing the 4. I mean, how do you see him positionally this year? And you know, do you think he can play some? I mean, he wouldn't probably be the 5 alongside Draymond and KD, but could you see him in that kind of lineup?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he could play in a small lineup where, you know, he could play with Draymond, with KD even, where he is the 5. You know, generally speaking, if we're super small, we like to have Draymond out there or KD for shot blocking. So I'm not sure I would go Jonas at the 5 without one of those 2 guys on the floor. But Jonas has been great. He's had a hell of a camp, and you know, I first saw him play when I was GM in Phoenix in the Treviso camp, the pre-draft camp, and he was the best player there, and physical and tough, and so I've liked him for a long time, and we're really lucky to have gotten him. We're excited. I think he's going to play a big role for us.
You told us at practice you want to see sharpness in this game. So in addition to good defense, crisp passes, is that also an attitude, sharpness also an approach?
Yeah, I think so. You know, we need to be business-like. We need to be to come out with a sense of purpose. You know, it's not a pickup game. So it's not just about how many turnovers we have or, you know, how good our defense is. Are we playing with a purpose? Are we out there trying to accomplish something? I think that's what preseason is about, especially early, where it's basically still training camp.
You mentioned your time as a GM before in reference to Jonas, but when you were with the Suns, you made a big trade getting Shaq. I know it was in the middle of the season, but not specifically related to the Jimmy situation. But when you are running an organization, you have to make kind of a franchise-changing trade like that. What kind of is the process, and what kind of goes through your mind as the decision maker to kind of determine, you know, what the right move is and when to make it?
Yeah, I mean, those are the kinds of decisions that a GM and an organization have to make together, you know, and not speaking in particular about what Minnesota's facing, because that's their business and our business is ours. But one of the reasons I wanted to coach is because, frankly, it's easier than being a GM and facing some of those choices. So I'm lucky. I've got a great GM, great friend in Bob, and when we've been faced with difficult decisions, the collaboration and the process that we've had has been really sound, and I've learned a lot actually from being part of it. And we're in the midst of a good run, obviously, and we're lucky to be where we are, and it's been smooth, but you know, we're all going to face our moments. As the NBA, it's you know, it's tough out there.
Steve, to that point, do you think that it can still work with when somebody wears both hats, GM?
I'm sure it can, but it wouldn't work for me. You know, it depends on the circumstances of the situation. Depends on relationships within the organization. Everybody is going to be structured a little differently, but having sat in both chairs, I would not be comfortable doing both jobs. So that's difficult.
Steve, how have you seen this week play out with, compared to last year, just given that you don't have to prepare for a chapter?
I think there's just a sense of comfort and ease with, and I don't mean that in terms of like practices are easy, but just this is the way you're supposed to enter a season. You know, you have a solid couple of weeks of conditioning and not too much travel, and you really get to put things in piece by piece, get better day by day, and not worry about international travel and time zones. And so this is a much more natural way to prepare for the year. And and I'm not disparaging the other way to go. It's just because international travel is a huge part of selling the NBA game, and we gladly take part in that. But there's a reason that they spread the teams around, that same teams don't go overseas every year. It's not easy, and so I think for our guys, especially given that we've been to the finals 4 years in a row, it's a huge relief to look at our preseason schedule and know that we're pretty much sticking close to home.
Steve, what are the pros and cons of trying to run a training camp and play a preseason game in the midst of a Giants-Dodgers series?
Well, you guys took me out of a fascinating conversation that I was involved with just now and there. We got the game on. You guys know I'm a Dodger fan. So I'm fascinated by this Major League Baseball tradition of champagne celebrations at multiple stops, right? And so we were trying to determine what's the maximum number of champagne celebrations a baseball team could have. And I was wondering, we came up with 5, but I was wondering if the Dodgers were to win today and clinch the wild card, champagne, right? And if they were to win tomorrow and Colorado were to lose a couple games and clinch the division, do they go back-to-back champagne celebrations? Has that ever happened?
The A's actually did that.
The A's did that?
Yes. It wasn't back-to-back days, but it was a Monday and a Wednesday.
Really? I'm all for bringing that to the NBA. Anybody else? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Didn't get a good answer.